never be brought to ruin. If you live your life in God, in love, your life will never be brought to ruin. Hardships and tears and misery would not make us miserable, bitter, or sad, because we would be enduring them all for the love of God. So this passage right here reminds me of a story in the Old Testament, the book of Hosea. Does anybody know that story, the book of Hosea? Anybody? Hosea and his woman Gomer. Okay? So basically, God asked his prophet Hosea, God asked his prophet Hosea to marry the most fallen woman, find a prostitute, and make her your wife, and love her unconditionally. So this really is a quite interesting story. Hosea went through so much misery, so much pain, trying to love this woman, promiscuous woman, that continued to hurt him, even had children outside of marriage, but he had to be a champion of love, and what that means is he had to show substantially, through the relationship of his wife, that unconditional love that God has in his heart for mankind. It's actually very symbolical. It says that this story was supposed to show and express the relationship between God and mankind. Because mankind lost their first love. Mankind lost the relationship with God. So in order to express this and substantiate this love on earth, Hosea had to go through the way of loving such an adulterous, promiscuous person with unconditional love and grow her and restore her as the rightful partner. It's a restoration of mankind coming to the position we were created to become, a relationship with true love with God. So, Hosea was a champion of love. He was hurt by his wife, but he continued to love her. And if you go more into that story, it's very deep. How you think, how can this guy continue loving her? She even, anyways, yes. So if you guys are curious and if you want some inspiration, especially when marriage gets hard, read that story. And you're like, if Hosea can do it, I can do it. So, that story really reminded me. Hardship, tears, and misery would not make us miserable, bitter or sad, because we would be enduring them all for the love of God, to substantiate and manifest that love on earth. God is a concept, but if we substantiate it, if we show through the relationship with others, through our friends, through our spouse, through our enemies, that love, that unconditional love, then it becomes real. God, that's the kingdom of heaven on earth that everybody is looking for. So, basically, my sermon title is Let's Grow Together. Because I really believe that we need each other to grow. Let's grow together. But before I start, I want to ask some thought-provoking questions. Do you want to grow? Do you want to grow? Why is growing so important? Are we comfortable? Is this it? Is this the purpose of life? Do we feel God in every part of ourselves? Do we practice to continuously see with the eyes of love? Are we desperate to meet God, not just once, but continuously, over and over and over, having that transformative experience, continuous transformative experience, every moment with every breath, experiencing God? Because if we look at our physical body, it's always in constant experience of transformation. Cells are constantly regenerating itself, creating new cells. The decline of regenerating cell is decay. Are we on a spiritual decay? Or are we exercising ourselves to have that continuous experience of transformation where we are meeting God with every breath, every moment, with every experience, with every relationship, and we feel God in all our senses? Because what I just described there is the kingdom of heaven on earth. And I believe that this is the experience God created us to experience, where we are feeling love. And Father says in Father's teachings, we are created and made to be intoxicated with God's love. And we should feel Him, God, always in all of ourselves. This is why we exist, to experience God all the time. But we learn in the principle that it takes time because there's a growth stage, like anything in life. But I just want to remind you that, there's a lot of focus and emphasis on the growth stage, and that we reach the growth stage, and, there's a lot of emphasis on the fall. But I want to remind you here today that we are all created to be in the direct dominion of love. We are created to be reaching the top of the growth stage, which is the direct, intimate relationship with God, where we can experience God in all ourselves at every moment, and we should be intoxicated. This is the intimate relationship we're created to experience, that relationship with God. So, how can we continuously grow to experience being intoxicated with love? How can we get there? To always feel vibrant and energized in everything that we do. This is the best part. How can we get there? We know why we need to get there, because we're created to get there. But how? It has to be substantiated. And the way we substantialize this experience, how we grow, the important thing is we need each other. We need each other to continue experiencing God and to have an experience of transformation with every breath. We need each other. So, I just want to do a fun little activity, just to break the air a little bit. I want everybody to look at one person. It's next to you. Maylin will look at each other. Everybody, please look at the person next to you. Please. And I want everybody to do this. I know this is getting outside of the comfort zone. It's getting outside of our comfort zone, but there's growth in getting outside of our comfort zone. So, look at the person next to you and say, I want you guys to say to each other, to grow, I need you. To grow, I need you. To grow, I need you. To experience God, I need you. I need you. So these relationships, we need each other to grow and to experience, and we need each other to, as a community, as a whole, to grow together to the top of the growth stage, where we have intimate relationship with God through each other. So, parent and child, we need each other. We need our parents, and parent needs children to grow. And parents need their children to continue growing. Children will continue, that relationship is very hard, parent-child relationship. Because children can challenge you. They will mirror you. They will make sure you practice what you preach and question your principle and values and morals. Children will check you and sometimes test you in your faith. And this is a beautiful opportunity. God creates everything in a symbiotic relationship. Everything exists for the sake of others, for something higher. So God created children to be like that, to check you, to bring you to the next level, it's the beautiful opportunity that the idea of love and principle in God actually gets manifested and embodied. And the children exist for you to do that. It's challenging. And children, it's a no-brainer, we need our parents. We If you don't have a relationship with with your parents, it's basically like a tree, trying to grow without roots. And a tree does not grow without its roots. When you have a relationship with your parents, children, this is such an important relationship, because that will set you up. That is the foundation for success. If you can have a successful, and it's hard, believe me, but if you can break through in your relationship with your parents, that will set you up for a foundation for successful relationships and a successful marriage. So it's the root. If we want to be successful, we need to have and improve and continue growing our relationship with our parents. That is the foundation. So, I just wanted, okay, so there was I like to always talk about something and then bring a spirit world, or I always think of death, to bring things into perspective. Because when I think of death or spirit world, I understand life more. So, I remember one time in Father's teaching, I read something about how parents should educate their children with heaven's tradition of love and not raise humanistically. And this talk, it reminded me quickly from a scene from What Dreams May Come. Does anybody know that movie or seen that movie, What Dreams May Come? It's a movie about spirit world, life after death. And of course, parents love their children naturally. It's inevitable. Parents love their children. But if we can't see with the eyes of love, if we can't see from God's viewpoint of your own child, then you might be seeing your child from a limited viewpoint, from your own viewpoint, which is very limited. And an example of this is in What Dreams May Come. In the movie, they're in spirit world, right? And the father is desperately trying to find his children. And the children were right there, guiding him. But they took another form. The son had a responsibility because he passed away before his father. So the son had to guide him through the realms of the spirit world. So he had a responsibility to guide his father. And he chose to come in the form of his father's friend. Let me get the name. This Abel or something? This is my notes, I'm sorry. Okay, well, alright, so anyway. The children, his name was Albert. Sorry, is it Abel? Albert? Okay, so the son chose to come in the form of Albert. And he said to his father, "Did you ever stop to think why I became Albert?" He was the only man you ever listened to. So he thought that if he came in, if he, welcomed his father in the spirit world as his own image, as his son, then the father might not be able to receive or hear his guidance. So he had to choose a different form of a person that his father highly respected. So that visual in the movie really hit me when I read Father's teaching about how, that heavenly tradition, that higher perspective of love, when being in a relationship with your children. So, and another relationship we need is we need our spouses. Marriage is the way, I feel that marriage is the way to enlightenment. I need my husband because through our relationship, I have the opportunity to grow, to stretch my heart to love, practice tolerance and patience, and understand compassion, exercise empathy, and experience God all the time in my relationship with God. Every time I break through it, every time I come to understand my husband, I experience God. And I really feel this relationship is so crucial. And I don't believe in soulmates, but I do believe that we grow to become soulmates. And when you grow together to become soulmates, when you reach the top of the growth stage, it's like experiencing the direct dominion of love as couples. As couples. We were supposed to be one with God in our growth and individual growth, but as a couple, we were supposed to go and that's what soulmates, I believe, means. In the principal term, direct dominion of love as couple. We reached the top growth stage. And so, spirit world perspective would be, I always ask my husband, will you be able to find me in spirit world? Will we recognize each other? Just to put perspective, you know? And I feel bad for my parents because I asked them the same question. I'm like, will you guys know each other in spirit world? Will you guys find each other in spirit world, you know? And it's kind of a tough question to digest coming from your child, so I feel bad for my mom and my parents. But the most important relationship that we need to grow and to experience God all the time this is my favorite relationship. This relationship opens all the gates of heaven. And this special person, that special person, is the person you don't see eye to eye with, the person that hurt you. And some people might call this person an enemy. But this relationship is crucial to experiencing God and growth. And this relationship allows breaking through the limitations of heart so you can truly be free. This relationship is so important. The people who you don't see eye to eye with, the person that hurt you, you need them in your life. I've reflected on my painful experiences in my relationships. And I realized, you know, I've gotten hurt, but I realized, wow, I saw the qualities of that person, and I need to work with that person. I need that person in my life. I believe that enemies are destined to be your best friend because when those two relationships become one and you break through, that is you probably conquer the world. So you need your enemies, and to break through that. And I feel like, you know, there's enemies, and you know, that relationship is hard and challenging for a reason. It's hard and challenging for a reason because there's something worthwhile waiting at the other end. And when you break through, you'll find it. You know, so we all need each other. And if we're constantly trying to work and exercise on taking down the walls of our hearts and limitation, then the bad habit just of naturally snap judging and those kind of things will, you know, wouldn't grow so rapidly, because evil grows rapidly. If you study cancer cells, it grows rapidly without anybody seeing. You know, that's why the other cells can't destroy them, because it's so fast and it's so, like, yeah, under the scene. And I feel like when we do that, when we practice those kind of habits of judging others or not understanding, not seeking to understand other people, and assuming, it's kind of like cancer cells. And we really limit our heart. And the thing is, as we grow older, it becomes harder to break that habit. Harder. I'm 30 now. And I'm like, I think, and I'm like, wow, why am I reflect and I'm like, I never used to be this judgmental, you know? So I feel like as age, you need to exercise that more and more, and to be able to not have that habit, and to be able to see from the eyes of love. Because I feel like that's a key to be a strong movement, a force that will impact this world. If we can practice this in our own community, it would be so strong, and it would be a testament to this whole world. It would spread, because if you look around you, this is such an amazing, awesome community. We have different generations, we have different cultures, we have different religious backgrounds and cultures. Cultures are a huge thing. But if we can really be able to seek to understand each other's hearts exercise that part of our brain of empathy, we become one. Because you feel, I feel, we feel. And you don't want to judge. And that would be fantastic. It's exercise, and it takes time. That's the beautiful thing about God's blueprint, is that He knows everything takes time. But it's about our exercising it. And, yeah, and so, and then we become one in heart, because honestly, I do believe that God is in everything and everyone. And when you hurt somebody, you hurt God, you know? And you hurt yourself because you're God, right? Like, God is in everything and everyone. And I experienced this. I know I'm talking a little bit longer, but I just want to get a conclusion. I experienced this in my relationship with my husband. You know, there are times when, you know, it got challenging, and sometimes, one time I said something that was very painful with my words. And no matter how much I felt he hurt me, the fact that I hurt him with my words struck me so painfully. And then I realized, oh my gosh, in the spirit world is the realm of love, right? In that realm of love, life after death, in the realm of love, it does not matter who is right and who is wrong. It does not matter, you know, but what matters is who you loved and who you hurt, because that is on you. That's why even in Cheonggyeong, they say it's a sin. When you hurt somebody, it's a sin. You committed a sin. And I felt that, and I was like, I never want to experience that again. So that was an understanding of the realm of love, you know. And that's why Mother questions us and says, when you go to heaven, what can you say? What can you bring to God? What can you offer to heaven and God? And it's not saying, you know, confidently, I know the divine principle, and I'm the greatest lecturer. I am the top fundraiser. I brought a lot of money, but, or I'm so, I don't know, amazing, I don't know. That doesn't matter. But what matters and what's going to move and be an offering is, I loved God, I loved humankind, I loved your children with all my heart and with all my soul, and I treasured each relationship where through that relationship, they experienced God, and they connected to that God. You became a natural witness for God, right? And I feel that is the victory, and that we can bring confidently in the next realm. How much you really loved people, and continued. Like Hosea, his wife continued to betray him. He was the prophet. People judged him. Why are you marrying a prostitute? That's really weird, you know? But he knew, and he continued to love, unchanging, and it wasn't easy. If you read it, it was not easy. But he continued to practice it. And I feel like this is our purpose in life. This is to experience God all the time. But how? By loving others. And we need each other. We need each other to grow to that state of experience. And that's why, anyways, our hymns, our church hymns talk a lot about, you know, the saints and sages and all the historical figures wait for this day. And I feel like we should practice, I mean, it is the day. We stand on a great, tremendous foundation to get there. You know, we have each other to get there, and it's a beautiful time. And I just want to leave with saying, that, yeah, I think that if we, you know, can, yeah, we have, I kind of said my conclusion in the middle, so, but yeah, that, I think that if we can practice this and seek to understand, it will be huge. Another example, I'm sorry, is that, never know. And this, anyways, this is what, the principle we talk about. The first law of nature of human destruction was unable to see from God's viewpoint. Seek to understand, because you never know, I'm sure we would have judged Hosea, But anyway, in the story, so he was like working on his, paperwork, on the train. And a man comes in with his 2 children, and they're just wild on the train. Just screaming and just so wild. And then once the child just knocked the paper off his lap of what he was working on, he kind of reached his limit. And he finally had the guts to turn to the guy and say, "Really? Can you control your children a little bit here?" And then the guy turns to him and he says, I'm so sorry. My wife just died, and we just came from the funeral." So, and then, Stephen Covey goes on and says, "I felt terrible, I felt terrible," because right there's empathy. You feel, oh my gosh, and, you want to take back what you said and how you judged him, So, you never know. And I think it's really important to seek to understand, because when you understand, there's no room for judgment. And if we create that kind of community, that kind of environment, God will be so flowing. I think we will be a movement that really is contagious and really makes an effect. If we can practice this here, I think people will want to come into this community. They're like, this is such an interesting community, and there's so much love. We always talk about impacting the world and serving the world, but I just wanted to do a short reminder that in order to do that, we really, really, really need each other. So thank you so much for allowing me to stand in front and share this message. And I just want to offer everything up, and I want to offer a prayer. So, dear Heavenly Father, parents, thank you so much for this beautiful day that you have given us, this time, this beautiful time. The foundation is so ripe right now, Heavenly Father, and I know that you're so excited, and I pray that we can really grow our hearts to come to a place where we can say to you, God, that don't worry, we will make this happen, and we will love your people, and that, Father, you promised us the day will come where we no longer have to cry anymore. But Father, we want to say to you as a community that we want to create a time together where you don't have to cry anymore, Heavenly Father. It's time of ownership, it's time of attendance, it's time of artistic, loving maturity, where we give so much back to you, God, and we show that through loving others. Thank you so much for everything, and I just want to offer everything up in all my heart. I report this in the name of my Amen. Bless Central Family. Amen.